Well guys, we've got quite a big job in front of us today. I'm excited to get after it here. We've got a lot of components in front of us, and we're also going to be addressing the half moons today, taking those out and resealing and repacking those guys. Let's take a look at some of these components. We've got our gaskets for our spark plugs, our cam plugs. We got some new valve there, washer gaskets. We've got the gaskets here for the plenum, valve cover gaskets, and our seal packing from Toyota, the FIPG. I also have a Sharpie and some tape there. We're going to be creating a numbering system for the hoses that we take off today, just to help us as we move through this process. So I'm going to take you guys along for the journey, and hopefully something I do helps you guys do it on your vehicle successfully. Let's get after it. So this is a big job, guys, and we're going to be taking a lot of components out of our engine bay to get this done successfully. Make certain that you carve out enough time in your day to do this job, and also make sure that you plan appropriately with the tools and the parts and components that you need to get it done the right way. The worst thing you want to do is get into this job, not have something you need, or run out of daylight or run out of time. So plan appropriately and you'll get it done the right way. Now I'm going to start this process on the passenger side of the vehicle with some of the easier components in my mind that we need to start to address and get disattached. And we're going to start back here. This hose here has a bracket on the firewall. You're going to get this off by just lifting up on this tab in the middle. It's pretty easy to see, middle tab. Lift up, this is a small flathead screwdriver, and pull it off that bracket nice and easy. Now that we have that free, we're going to move on and try to start attaching some of these hoses that go to the air assembly and the throttle body. Ultimately here, we are going to take this portion and remove it from the vehicle. Now this is our mass airflow sensor. There's a tab that all you have to do is squeeze the sides of this tab as it's within its housing location, and you can free this away from that and take that one out. You need to get a better angle on this one here. There we go. And now we can remove that from our mass airflow sensor. That harness connects down here, and I'm going to leave that as it is for right now. And we'll leave that lying loose right there. Now there's a couple of hoses here that we need to address in order to get that free. And first we're going to start here. This hose runs all the way from the airbox to the vapor canister. I'm going to free it from the airbox side. I'm going to keep it attached over here to the vapor canister and then just route it out of the way. The next hose we have is right here. It goes from the lower plenum to the airbox. Now for me, it was easier to free this from the box and then to pull it off with enough pressure to remove it from the lower plenum. I'm going to place this back on to the airbox. That gives me a clear indicator as to where this hose goes back upon reinstallation, and that's where I'm going to keep it. All right, now that that hose is free, we're going to come up to the clamp here that is attached to our throttle body, and we're going to loosen that clamp up. We're going to come down here to the lower clamp that attaches it to our airbox assembly, and we're going to loosen that clamp up. All right, now we need to get this free, and the way that I do this is I start up top and pull down towards myself to free this from the throttle body, and it kind of does this accordion with these hoses, compresses it, and then we can get it out of the way. There we go. All right, now we have that free, we can move on to the next. Here's our PCV valve, which we're going to be replacing, and we've got a hose that runs off of that valve to the upper plenum. And what I'm going to do here is carefully pry back and remove. And for now, I'm going to keep that hose connected here to the upper plenum and just keep it in place. Doing a little bit of an inspection here on my hoses as I move forward and go along. Always a good idea. At this point, I'm also going to go ahead and take the opportunity to remove and back these clips off here that hold the spark plugs in place. And I'm just going to move them slightly out of the way. There's a connection here that's held in by the 2 compression tabs that you'll need to loosen and get free. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and remove my airbox just to give myself some more room, and I'm going to clean it up while I'm in here. We've got 3 bolts that this attaches the airbox to the body, so it is a very easy removal, and for how easy it is, it's worth the time to go ahead and take it out. This is a 12mm deep socket. All right, we need to go a little bit more here on the bolt closest to the headlight. These 2 bolts down on the fender well actually have a keeper on them, which you can tell right there. Keeps them in place pretty well. So we're going to keep the other bolt with it, put it in a Ziploc bag. That way we can keep everything together. All right, now at this point, we're going to focus on our spark plugs here, and we're going to go ahead and take these off. So we've got a couple of different areas of need to disconnect our spark plugs. We're going to start up here, and it's just going to be a simple squeeze at the top, which is right up here. Squeeze at the top and pull off. These back ones, if you need something to help you with it, just apply some firm pressure with a flathead screwdriver or a similar tool. All right, next we're going to attack these and get these loose. This is a 10mm. Now we can pull our boots out. We're just going to set those over to the side temporarily. So there's a few more connections here that we need to address. There's one here on the throttle body, one down low here. So what we're going to do is, this a little tip I like to take sometimes if I feel like I might need it later. Take a piece of tape. I put TB on here for throttle body, and I'm just going to wrap it around that wire so that I know whenever I'm hooking everything back up that that is where that electrical connection belongs. I'm going to do the same thing down here to this one, and we'll get it taken off. And I'm going to go ahead and unplug this here and the entire wire loom just to get it free and a bit more out of my way with some freedom to navigate and operate as we go through this. Now down here we have another bracket that has a slot in it for a connection point that holds the wire loom in place. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that wire loom from that connection point so it frees it from the bracket. Again, just looking for any spots here that I can create a little bit additional room, and of course we will probably have more to do here as we go along and find a few more spots that we need to address. All right, so now we're around to the driver's side of the vehicle, and we need to start moving some stuff out of the way and getting it freed up for these plenums and for the rest of it. So I'm going to start with our diagnostic here, what we're going to do is just push on a tab on the back. We're going to push out towards the plenum, and then that slides up and over. And then also we have this ground wire here on that nut that we need to go ahead and get loosened up. So this is a 10 millimeter, and we're going to go ahead and break that free. I'm just going to get it loose for the moment, just so that I can rotate these wires and see if I can get this spark plug boot off real quick. All right. Next, we need to take our vacuum hose off, and we're going to take it off of the plenum here. This is the vacuum line that goes to the brake booster. And I'm just going to rotate this clockwise and spin it on that check valve to get it out of the way. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bracket off here. This is also a 10 millimeter. Now that the bracket's off, I'm going to go ahead and thread the bolt back in just as a keeper. All right, let's see if I can get that spark plug tube free, and I can. So now we have two spark plug boots free, and we're going to change our angle up and see if I can get this third one out. All right, so we've got our third spark plug free, and now our entire spark plug assembly here is free. We can go sit this on the ground and keep on moving. All right, so we have this clamp here that is attached to our lower plenum. It kind of looks like it's attached to the upper. This is a 12 millimeter. I'm doing a shallow socket. All right, we need to get that free so we can get the lower plenum out. I'll go ahead and take a moment to show you guys. This is the trick that I use a lot of times when I'm doing more in-depth jobs that have more bolts and parts and pieces going to many different locations. I just take Ziploc snack bags, and I will take a Sharpie and write the location of the particular nut or bolt or component and zip it up and throw it to the side. So this always helps me stay organized, and maybe it'll help you. All right, we're back at this bolt here, which has these grounding wires, and this is a wire loom that's attached to the diagnostic. So I'm gonna go ahead and just loosen this up by hand, and I'm gonna screw this back in by hand, being very careful here not to drop anything. All right, so we've got that screwed back into place, so now that's easy. And we also have a bolt that is down here attached to the lower plenum. There is a bracket and a hose that's attached to it, so you will not be able to miss it. You just need to take a look, get down there, and it is also a 10 millimeter. There we go. Just break it free. Kind of a tight spot, so I'm gonna see if I can finish it up by hand. All right. Now that that's free, the bracket that this bolts into the lower plenum, the bracket doesn't actually move very much at all, if any, but it is free, and that will allow you to get the lower plenum off. All right, we need to go ahead and get this hose free. That one takes a bit of firm pressure there to free up. We're going to loosen this guy here. Now when it comes to our throttle body connections, this is how mine looks on my 2000 4Runner. I'm going to take a picture of each one of these connection points, and the reason I'm doing that is I want to see essentially how many threads are exposed each direction, just so I know where it was before I took it off, because the way we're going to go about taking this off is we're going to loosen these nuts, and that's going to loosen them from their respective brackets. We can slide them up and out and get those free. As you can see, the cables actually go underneath this channel, and then there's the point of the cable there, and this one is back here. So we need to make certain that when we put it back exactly as we found it. And then also you have a series of hoses here underneath. And what my plan is to remove the upper plenum to try to peel it back and see if I can get a better look at getting those hoses out successfully, since they are in between and below the upper plenum. We've got another hose up here that we're going to try to remove. I feel like this one might be a bit more challenging. There we go. This pry tool works wonders, man. That made it so easy. So we're going to keep it connected to the bottom point and just rotate it around. I'm going to get my head back here, which will block your view, so I'm going to cut that off, but I'm going to get my head back here, take a look at what we have, and make certain that we're free. All right, so I've taken the pictures that I need of all my connection points here. I've got two 14mm wrenches, and we're going to go in opposite directions and get these loosened up. Now, as you can see, you just feed it through the channel and wiggle that connection point right out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to call this 3. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to mark that. All right, now to go for number 2. That broke free very easily. And now, last but not least, we're going to go with number 3 here. This one's a bit tighter, but we can get it out of the way successfully. And we're going to call this one number 1. All right. All of our throttle body cables are free, ready for the next step. So I actually have a really good view here from the passenger side fender well of the 3 hose connections that I was talking about located under the upper plenum. And I believe I'm going to try to go ahead and get these loosed now, because I have actually a really good view of them. Connection point number 1, connection point number 2, and connection point number 3. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get these loosened up. If not, then what I'll do is just loosen up the upper plenum, and when I rotate the upper plenum off, I could have access to a better view potentially to get these, but we're going to go ahead and see if we can get them now. All right, so there's the first one free. I was able to get these hose clamps off pretty easily from this angle, and now I'm just using this pry tool to help me get the hoses off. And this one came off really simply as well. And it looks like we have one more hose that's connected down here. Now there's no clamp on this one. So we're applying pressure back towards the firewall, and there we go. So we've got these 3 free. I'm gonna go ahead and label them just to make certain I'm confident in where they go. And we'll go on to the next step. Okay, I think we're good at a point where we can actually try to remove our upper plenum. You're gonna have numerous locations here of bolts and nuts that you need to remove. We've got one here, we've got one here. You've got some right here and a couple on the back. So this is kind of a common sense thing, man. I'm not going to get up here and give you a bird's eye view of every single one, but make certain you get a look yourself as you're doing this, and that you understand what needs to come off. So we're going to go ahead and start with our process of removal on the upper plenum. Now, one thing that I would recommend is notating where these bolts go and putting them back in the same location. So for me, I'm going to number these, and I'm going to start this as number 1 and move around counterclockwise in labeling them 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. All right, so we've got all of our upper plenum nuts and bolts labeled numerically, and we've got tape wrapped around them so we can keep those organized. And now we're going to see if we've got our upper plenum free. There we go. Easy breezy. Let's go set this over to the side. So now with our lower plenum exposed, you're going to see a couple of more points that you're going to need to address prior to removing the lower plenum. We've got this hard line here, and this is held in with a bracket and a bolt, another bracket and a bolt up here. And we also have a connection point on the rear that is a bolt, and you'll see this is connected to the lower plenum. You need to go ahead and remove this as well. So we're going to start with those. Keeping with the consistent theme, we've got a 12mm. Now this hard line is attached to a hose. I would assume you could probably just remove the hose itself from the hard line, but I am actually going to remove the hard line and try to take it off completely here. There we go. Not a lot of space to work back here. It is a 10mm, and I'm going to see if we can't get her loose here. Quarter-inch ratchet, definitely the way to go. I'll tell you right now, this is one that you do not want to drop. All right, so now we are going to attempt to remove our lower plenum. We're going to see what it looks like. We've got a series of nuts and bolts traveling around the lower plenum. Again, take your time, take a look at where everything is. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to number them as I go, 1, 2, and so on, so that I remember where to put them back. Now I've located an additional bolt that's on the back lower portion of the lower plenum, and this is a bolt that holds a line. So it looks to be a 10 millimeter. We're gonna loosen that up and see what we got from there. There we go. Lower plenum has successfully been removed. All right, so we are now going to remove this gasket, which we will be replacing. There's the old gasket. Actually was separating there. And we're gonna take this time here to use some cleaning components and clean up within this and on top. And then after I've cleaned it, I'm gonna take some of that tape and just lightly cover these ports so that nothing gets in there. So we're gonna go ahead and get to cleaning up. So we certainly have some carbon buildup, and you can see it pretty evidently here. I've started to clean on that one a little bit, as you can tell, but I wanted to show you guys a bit of a before here. I'm gonna carefully just clean out what I can with the shop towel, and we'll get moving on. All right, so we've done some cleaning here, and I'm happy with the results. Everything, I think, looks much better. Obviously working very carefully with some shop rags not to get anything down in those ports, which we did not. So this is all good. We're gonna go ahead and use some tape, cover it up, and move right along. This is a very, very, very light application here, guys. We're not even really applying too much pressure at all. All right, so I wanted to show you guys just a little overview of, you know, the sludge and the dirt and the dust and the accumulation of such over the years. As a reminder, I'm the second owner on this vehicle, and I've never taken it down this far. So what you're seeing is there over a course of many, many years. I don't think this has ever been done. We're gonna clean it back up, and it's gonna look a lot better when we get everything put together. That's why I wanted to show you guys a nice, proper before. So I'm gonna start on the passenger side here. And the first thing we need to do now is to get our fuel injector electrical connection undone. And so, pretty simple. Just squeeze the tab and pull directly up. You're gonna have 3 on each side. There we go. Now, something to keep in mind here as you work is that a lot of this plastic, as you can see, you should be able to see on the driver's side, this plastic protector for the wire loom is gone. It's been cracked off and broken. So at some point, somebody's been in here because it's all gone. Now, with that said, a lot of this is brittle and old from the heat of the engine. And so you just want to be careful when maneuvering and moving these components through, especially once you get your valve cover gasket, excuse me, and once you get your valve cover off, you don't want any of this to fall inside of your engine. That would be very, very bad. So we're going to go through here and make certain that I like some things here loosened up so that we can get this guy off and out without breaking anything. Now this hose and kind of assembly here is held on near the firewall, held onto a metal bracket. You just push that out. There's a little tab that you push out, and you can lift that up, and now that's going to give us more appropriate room here to get all of our 8 bolts and get those free on our valve cover here. All right, these valve cover bolts are 8 millimeters, and there's 8 of them, so let's get it off. I'm going to speed this process up a bit here. I'm still using my numbering system on these bolts because I do want to put them back in the same location. I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. On this back one, we might need to go back to our ratchet extension. Nope, we're good right here. All right, so we've got all of our 8 bolts out, and I'm gonna give it a little tug here, just a little test tug. Yep. Everything's good and free, and we should be able to go ahead and take this out. There we go. So it looks like this job probably has been done before at some point. That's just my guess with this blue gasket. I believe the Toyota OEM gasket is black, but regardless, we've got it out, and we're gonna get rolling. So here's a look inside, and I'm pleased with what I see. Really, there's not a lot of gunk or buildup, and everything looks really good. So we're gonna continue forth. I'm gonna cover this up while I work on the valve cover. And we also are gonna get after these half moons, which are here and in the back, and the cam plug, which is in the back. So got more work to do here, but I'm gonna start by working on the valve cover, and we'll go that direction first. All right, so time to clean this mess up. So first things first, we're gonna get rid of this old valve cover gasket. And you guys might be wondering, just from the looks of it, I do believe I have had an oil leak. So I think it was coming from this half moon or the valve cover itself. So this is part of my fix. Now, in order to get these spark plug grommets out, you have this little metal keeper here. And what I've done is I've gotten a flathead screwdriver underneath it, and I've pried it up. Just a nice gentle pry up, nothing too crazy. And now we want to get these guys out of there, and these are probably going to break, but come out real easy. At least these do. I just stick my finger in it and pop it straight out. So those are the old ones. You can see those later. Now, we got a lot of cleaning up to do. This is not how I'm going to keep it. I want it to look a lot better, and obviously on both sides of the game. This side is nasty and disgusting. This is our PCV valve, which we are actually going to replace, and we are going to replace the grommet also. So we need to get that out, and yeah, need to do some work. So let's get started. Let's clean. After about 30 minutes, this is our finished product. This is the top of the valve cover and the inside of the valve cover, and I think it turned out pretty excellent, if I do say so myself. I used a combination of Purple Power degreaser, obviously some brushes such as this guy here, and then this is kind of my secret weapon. I use these SOS reusable soap-filled steel wool pads with degreaser, and it cuts through any type of grease very quickly and is safe on this surface. So I have cleaned this off, I have air dried it, blown it with some compressed air, and yeah, real happy with this. So we're gonna go ahead and turn it over. We're gonna put in our PCV grommet and valve, and then we're gonna put in these spark plug grommets as well. All right, so this is brand new Toyota part number 12204-62010. And this is our brand new grommet here. So we're gonna go ahead and compress that in. All right, now that our grommet is in here, before we put in our valve, we're gonna turn it around and we're gonna work on these spark plug gaskets. This is part number 11193-70010. Now, there's really two different directions here. Let me grab two of them so you guys can see. There's one where it's kind of inset and one where it's outset, I would say. You might, take note when you remove them how they came out, but they came out this way, outset. So this is how you want it to be installed back inside. Now, if you can remember, there were these little tabs right here, and these tabs we pulled up in order to get them out. So we're gonna go underneath and we're gonna slide this in. I'm not sure if it's coming across correctly, but what's happening is that the gaskets are not fully seating. So it's basically leaving a ridge. One side is flush, one side is still extruding. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get a large socket and try to hammer this in with a rubber mallet very gently. What I have here is a 30mm socket, and I'm basically just using it to go around the edges and very lightly tapping. We do not want to
hammer hard and compromise our valve cover in any negative way. And you'll get the feel for it. And what you want to do is rub your finger around and make certain that it's seated all the way in. And this one is just about done. So now that that is seated back, I'm going to go ahead and compress that tab back into place, and we've got one done. Let's move on to the middle. Now what I'm doing is I'm feeling where it needs to go down. I'm not pushing the entire gasket, the entire socket down. I'm leaving it at an angle like that, and I'm hammering where I need the pressure. We are almost there on this one. I just need a little bit more. Yep, that's fantastic. All right. All right, 2 down, and let's go to the third here. I'm just gonna give a little extra love here. Yeah, that's great. All right, that one is done. Now we just need to bend that tab back down. There we go. Okay. So we have successfully inserted here our 3 spark plug grommets. We're gonna flip this over now, and we're just checking here. Those look fantastic. And now we need to get our PCV, the new one, installed. Now, this is gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tight fit. So I have some oil here, and I'm gonna oil up the stem. That way it slides in there easier. There we go. Now, I can't remember the orientation at the moment, but we're gonna leave it like that. Obviously, it can slide around, and we can rotate it, get it in the right position once it's installed back into the 4Runner properly. All right, so we've got this portion and this valve cover set up. This is good. Next step. All right, now that our valve cover is prepped, we're ready to get after these half moons and the cam plugs. So I'm gonna show you guys here before I take this off in a different, and set it up here. These are the half moons right here. That's our half moon right there, and you can even see the gasket sealant in there. And the other half moon is right here. You're gonna have to move some wire looms. Now, this is where our cam plug is. You're gonna have to undo these bolts. Once these bolts are undone, we're gonna grab that bracket and pull up, and it is going to bring the cam plug with it. So this is not the side I was worried about leaking. It's actually the other side that was leaking from the back side, either I believe the half moon or the cam plug. But that's what we need to do, and I'm gonna put you guys up here on the tripod, and we're gonna get after it. All right, so shout out to Timmy, the tool man. I watched the video that he did on this quite some time ago, and one thing that stuck out to me was he wrapped these guys in electrical tape, you know, just to kind of protect the component when you pull it out. So I'm duplicating his method here, and I think it's going to lead to some success. So let's see if we can't get our front half moon free. We're just going to grab it and pull up, and there we go. That wasn't that difficult, honestly. You can see lots of gasket material, lots of junk.
So we're going to clean these out. Now what you want to do when you put these back in and install them is you want to run a bead of that sealant that we have through this channel. When I do that, I'm going to load it up pretty good, and we're going to put it back in there. Now I'm going to take note of which side is the facing the interior of the engine, which obviously is this one, and which side was facing the fan. But regardless, that's our first half moon. Let's get after the back one there. Now I'm probably going to have to block you guys' view a bit here, but we're going to see what we can do to get after it. Now this one's in a bit of a, one would say, precarious position here. There we go. All right. And that's our back half moon free. Now we need to get back here and get these bolts free. We're gonna see, yep, looks like they are a 10 millimeter. All right, now that we have both bolts free, we should be able to do a similar practice here that we did to the half moons and pull up on that collar. Here we go. So, yeah, this is our cam plug, how it sits in there. And I don't know if these have ever been replaced or not, but we're going to go ahead and clean this up and get it sealed back in. All right, so the next step I'm going to take here is just cleaning up the surface where the valve cover gasket will mate. And I just wanted to bring out the flashlight and show you guys what we need to do. So we got a little bit of sludge buildup, but not much. Honestly, it looks pretty good in my opinion. But I definitely need to clean these surfaces. So we're gonna go ahead and clean the surfaces off film, and I'll come back and show you guys the final result when it's done. All right, so it looks like we've gotten everything cleaned up quite nicely. As you can see, we really took our time and cleaned up where that half moon seats in. And if we follow up and around, we have cleaned all surfaces. Now this, I used a flat razor, just a free razor outside of any container on the flat surface, just to scrape at it on a flat, at a completely flat angle. You don't want to dig into any of your surface here of the head. So use that, use some plastic pry tools as scrapers. That actually worked extremely well. And shop rags and some brake parts cleaner. And so, yeah, looks really good. So we're gonna go ahead now and focus on getting back here to the cam plug
and installing our cam plug right back there.
So I just wanted to show you guys the half moons when they're clean. There's actually 3 grooves, one on each side and then one straight down the middle. I would encourage you to be very mindful to get those grooves completely cleaned, so that all of the new FIPG will sit and seat within those grooves. This is where our cam plug is going to go. This is our new cam plug, and the cam plug has kind of a rubbery exterior here, so we're going to go ahead and seat that in there. And that is the way that the new cam plug goes in, just like it came out. So the solid side is going to be facing the firewall, and then the what is that, a convex concave? It's going to be facing the camshaft. So I'm going to make sure this is seated in here nicely, and yep, that looks good. Well, we have our Toyota seal packing, the FIPG, and here is our cam plug. Okay, we've got our cam plug seated in there nicely, and on the Toyota service manual, what it shows is that we're going to actually put our FIPG sealant here and here. Those are the 2 locations it tells us to put our sealant. So we are going to put a nice bead on both locations, and then we're going to go ahead and reapply the cam plug into the vehicle and torque down the bolts. All right, we're going to go ahead now and put our cam plug seated back into place here. And as you seat it down, you'll be able to see that FIPG gasket material pushing out. I'm going to start threading the bolts here in by hand. Now these are going to be 12 foot-pounds of spec, and all right, now that those are in there, I'm going to try to get a mirror and get a visual on the back side here to make certain that everything is seated properly, and then we'll get right back and torque those down. All right, so everything looks good, so we're going to go ahead and torque these down. And once again, it is 12 foot-pounds of torque. I'm going to tighten both of these up to a point at which we are almost torqued. And then we will finish it. There we go, there's 12. And 12 foot-pounds. All right, now we're just gonna double check everything. Make sure everything looks good there. Good. All right, now onto the half moons. All right, so now we are going to attack that guy right there, that half moon, and this is what we've done. Now our factory service manual says to put a bead of that FIPG up the center. As you can see, I packed it up, and we're gonna go ahead and sit it right back in there by hand and get it seated in place.
And what we're looking for is to make certain that that gasket material at FIPG is squeezing out of both sides. And it looks as if it definitely is. All right, so we've got that one in place. Now we're going to go ahead and do the rear. I'll move this over. Now you can see that the half moon is now successfully installed there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get the gasket on the cylinder. This is part number 11213-62020. We're going to be careful here with our new valve as we flip it over and rest. I'm going to stack up some rags here. Now on the gasket, there's going to be a top side and a side that seats into the valve cover. It should be pretty easy to tell because, quite honestly, you're going to have this half moon here that the gasket will sit down inside. But there's a groove, and that groove will seat into the valve cover. So we're going to go ahead and start seating it in by running it around and just compressing it in with our fingers. Now, if you recall, the one that I took out was blue. It might have been a Fel Pro. I'm not sure which one it was, but I can tell you it was not a Toyota OEM, so it leads me to believe that this job was done before. So there's no better feeling in my mind than the fact that I'm going back with brand new OEM components. And it just leads me to a great level of confidence in the completion of my job. So as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm going over each section numerous times. I want to make sure that everything is seated in there, and as you go over it, I've actually felt a few times where there's just a little bit of a catch or a bubble left, and you take care of that and get it out of the way. So that's it. That's great. And when you flip it over, it's going to stay in place and it will not come out. One last step we're going to take here is to take some oil, and we're going to lube up our spark plug grommets right here so that when we put our valve cover back on, it slides over the spark plug tubes and seats in place nice and easy. All right, now right before we get ready to put our valve cover back on, we are going to show you guys where you're going to want to put another bead of FIPG. You're going to put a bead here and here at the top of each half moon and the bottom of each half moon. You're going to put a bead right here where this meets, and right over here where this half moon meets, and then the same on the back side, on the bottom and the top there of the half moon that you can see. And then we already see that that is there from where we put our cam plug back, but we're going to put another bead there and there just to make sure. So I'm going to go ahead and apply those beads of FIPG first, and then we'll come back and we will put our valve cover back on. All right, we've got ready to put our valve cover back on. I'll try to go at this a bit here where we kind of have to work around this wire loom. There we go. And now we can lift it back up. And now we see the spark plug tubes. And perfect. Seated perfectly in place. And we're just going to go around and double check everything. Man, doesn't that look a lot better? I'm telling you. That valve cover cleaned up nicely. And all I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that nothing is bound up incorrectly or in the wrong spot. I'm going to show you guys here how you can tell that you're seated. And as you can see, the spark plug tube here is seated nicely within the new grommet. And fits like a glove. All right, so we put our washers down and we're going to tighten this up in a bit of a crisscross pattern. I'm going to do, and you remember I numbered these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm going to go like 3, 7, 2, 6, 1, 5, and then probably 4 and 8. And we're going to get these cinched down. Now, this is 4 foot-pounds or 53 inch-pounds. If you convert 53 inch-pounds, which is what the spec is, to foot-pounds, it's about 4.4 foot-pounds of torque. So ideally, you probably want to run with inch-pounds, but either one should do. All right, now once again, all I've done is essentially just take this and get it to where I felt like it was finger tight. And now I'm going to torque them down in that specified pattern. All right, well, our passenger side is done, and I want to give you guys a quick little comparison of the two. That would be our passenger side and the old nasty driver's side. Passenger side turned out really well. Very happy with all the work that I put into it. All right, so we are on now to the driver's side, and we're going to start by removing here the sensor electrical connection, excuse me, from the fuel injectors. And we're going to look at this wire loom and try to see what we've got here. I want to make sure that everything is free and out of the way. And you might see that some of these components are going to break. To be honest, I can't do much about that at this point. Now there is another connection down here for a wire loom on a bracket, and I'm going to see if I can't, yeah, slide that up and off. Just gets me a little bit more play with this one. All right, we're going to take the oil cap off here, and we're going to go ahead and take these bolts off and try to see if we can't get this valve cover free. All right, we've got all of our bolts out. Now for the moment of truth, let's see if we can get it off. Now this one I expect to be a bigger challenge than the passenger side. And I can already tell that it certainly will be. All right, let's pull some of the stuff out of the way here. All right, quick little look around the driver's side, and yeah, it's pretty dirty. The inside looks about the same as the passenger side, and for that I am pleased. I was definitely having a leak, and I can't really get the camera angled correctly to show you, but gosh, I think it was coming out of my cam plug or my half moon, but it's leaking and it's hitting the exhaust, and there's a burn spot of built up oil on the exhaust. So pretty sure this is definitely needed. The other thing that I noticed is when I went to unbolt the bolts on the valve cover on this side, they were just extremely loose, and the ones up top were quite loose. So yeah. All right, now let's get to cleaning. Definitely want to show you guys the before, and again, this is the driver's side. Very rough, and that would be the inside here. So that's our before, and we're gonna get to work and make this thing shine just like the passenger side. All right, here's the driver's side. Complete and clean, looks just much better. You can probably tell the sun has gone down, and I'm gonna have to finish this job under shop light. So we're gonna get going and see if we can get this thing done by the morning. Well, it is late at night, but the job is done. Everything was cleaned up, torqued down to spec, put back together, and looks great. Can't wait to fire it up and get it running. Well, here we are 1 month later and hundreds of miles down the road, and I am happy to report that this job was a massive success. The valve covers, the cam plugs, the half moons, everything has completely eliminated any traces of an oil leak that I once had in my 3rd gen 4Runner. So can't feel any better about that. Now, I did not show you guys the reinstallation on the driver's side, and that's because you're going to take the exact steps that you saw me take on the passenger side to successfully install the driver's side. Now, you didn't get to see me put everything back together in regards to the brackets and the nuts and the bolts and the hoses, but one thing that I will point to is pointing back to a portion in this video where I showed you guys the system I take with the Ziploc bags and the Sharpie, and as I take things off, I notate where it goes and where it belongs. Also, the numbering system with any of the hoses and taking pictures before. All of those things that I did throughout this job was a massive time saver and a confidence increase and a confidence booster when I got back to the reinstallation portion of all of my components. And I can't tell you how smoothly it went. Everything went back together very easily and right where it should go. So I would highly suggest that you guys have some sort of an organizational system as well. If it's not the one that I suggest, definitely create your own so that when you get back after a long day's work and a lot of different components thrown around, you know where everything goes. With that said, I will give one tip. On the driver's side, the wire loom that has that old brittle plastic, take some masking tape or some tape of your choice and wrap it around that wire loom. That tape is going to make certain to keep everything held in place so that if it does break, it's not going to fall into your engine. So I definitely recommend that. Now, with that said, I appreciate you guys' time, and I hope this video has given you guys an increase of confidence and knowledge that you can take into your own vehicle, whether it be a 3rd gen 4Runner or a different model vehicle. Take time, have some patience with yourself and with the process, and you too can get this job done and get your vehicle back on
the road, humming just like brand new. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks so much for your comments, your likes, your feedback, or subscription. And I can't wait to show you guys what we got planned next for this big guy. I'll see you on the next video.